Good day. Today we're going to do lesson plan number 4, grade 5, term 2. Our topic is subtraction. Your DBE workbook link is worksheet 30A. So you can have a look at that. So going back to the lesson plan, here's the link to the caps, and I'm going to go there. This is where you can pause. You can quickly go through your resources, what's needed, a very nice quote for the day. Remember, all these resources, games, quotes, we always add here to build a love for mathematics. And then explaining the vertical column method. Remember, the CAPS curriculum, it's the first time that they recommend that we use the vertical column methods. The other methods that you've been using before and we're going to use in this lesson are mainly to learn different techniques, and these techniques will help us later on in the maths that we're going to do. Then we come to the mental mathematics. This is where the learners need to join us. So what we're quickly going to do is we're going to do it orally, or we can just write it down. We're going to pause it, and then we're going to come back. Welcome back. I'm quickly going to reveal the answers. So here you got the answers, and you can pause it and mark it. Let's carry on with the lesson. So with today's introduction, I recommend that you have place value cards. So we're just going to have a basic number sentence first, where we're going to subtract 740 minus 680. Now, first you can see previously where we subtracted a bigger number from a smaller number. In this case, it's not possible, or it is possible, but we need to show them the steps. Now, I always like to use place value cards. So what we're going to do is, remember, this is the cards here is how we're going to pack it out. So in this illustration, then what we have is we have 740 minus 680. So we can say 700 minus 600, but when it comes to 40 minus 80, we need to subtract a bigger number by a smaller number. So on your desk then is what we're going to do is we're going to minus 600 from the 700. So when I do this we actually removing it. So we remove these cards. So they're not there anymore. Let me just see. Okay. So we still just need to remove the rest of them to make it easier. So I remove those. And now what we have left is we got 140 minus 80. So 140 minus 80 is 60. So just to make it simpler for the learners, do a few examples like this. So again, is we do it practically with a physical resource. 740 minus 680. I'm going to pause it here with the cards removed. So then the learner is going to explain it to an adult. Okay, so let's then go to our subtraction. Example number 1. First, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make use of expanded notation. Again, it's your choice to which method you want to use. I always recommend don't only use one, use more than one. If you can use all three of them, brilliant. Because again, it's not only about the method, it's about the techniques and to get our children mentally fit. Okay, so the first one is 8,743. So we got 8,000 plus 700 plus 40 plus 3. What we need to do is we need to subtract 5,000 from there, then 600 from that first number, then 80 from the first number, and then 4 from the first number. And that's what we did here. We got the first number written out in expanded notation, and then we subtracted 5,000, then 600, minus 80, minus 4. So let's quickly going to start. So I can say 8,000 minus 5,000, 600 minus 600, but then we come here with the 40 minus 80. So what do I need to do? I need to go and borrow a 100 from the 700 and place it here. So now what we have is we have 130. But why 130? Because here when we had tried to minus 3 minus 4, I had to go and borrow a 10 to make this a 13. And that's why we have 130 there. So carefully go through those steps again. I'm quickly going to repeat it. So what I do is I have 8,000 minus 5,000. I can do that. 700 minus 600, it's fine. But when I come to 40 minus 80, no, we need to have the bigger number first, and we can't just swap them around. So we need to make a plan. We can't also say 3 minus 4. So what I'm first going to do is I'm going to borrow 100 from here and place it in front here. So that 700 becomes a 600. But I know that I also need to have a 10 here because I can't minus the 4 from the 3. So I borrowed another 10 here. That's why we have 130 here and a 13. So now what we're going to do is we're going to start to subtract. 8,000 minus 5,000. So let's quickly put them in groups by putting brackets around them. Plus we got the 600 minus the 600. We got 130 minus 80. And lastly, we got our 13 minus 4. If we're going to subtract 8,000 minus 5,000, we get 3,000. 600 minus 600 is 0. 130 minus 80 is 50. And 13 minus 4 is 9. And our answer is 3,059. I want you to pause at this moment. Explain this method then to an adult. Welcome back. So what I'm going to do is I'm first going to use the vertical method where we use expanded notation. So we got 98,743. So I'm going to write it here, 90,000 plus 8,000 plus 700 plus 40 plus 3. Then we got 45,684. So we got 40,000 plus 5,000 plus 600 plus 80 plus 4. So now what we're going to do, we can subtract that. So let's just put the symbol in there. Let's move this up a bit so you can see it. So what we can do is we can say 90,000 minus 40,000, 8,000 minus 5,000, 700 minus 600. What happens here? We got the 40 and an 80 and 3 and 4. So what do we need to do? We need to go and borrow again. So let's quickly start here. For the 3 and the 4, I need to go and borrow a 10. So it's going to become 13. So 13 minus 4 equals to 9. What happened here? I already borrowed a 10, so it's 30. But I can't say 30 minus 8. I need to go and borrow a 100 here. So this becomes 130. 130 minus 80 gives us 50. What was left over here? It was 600. I want you to minus then 600 from 600 gives me 0. 8,000 minus 5,000 gives us 3,000. And 90,000 minus 40,000 gives us 50,000. I want you to pause here and I want you to go and write down what I just did. But where I said we borrowed, I actually want you to draw a line through it and change the numbers so the subtraction is a bit easier. So let's then look at part 2. So where I just simply going to subtract by only using the column method. So I just quickly going to do this. So we We can only focus on this. So here, what we're going to do is we're going to start with the units, and we're going to say 3 minus 4. We can't. So we're going to borrow from the 4. So the 4 becomes a 3, and this becomes a 13. 13 minus 4 equals 9. So now we got a 3 there, but we can't say 3 minus 8. So I'm going to borrow from the 7. I'm going to take 1, and this is going to become then 13. 13 minus 8 is equal to 5. The 7 became a 6. So a 6 minus 6 equals to 0. 8 minus 5 equals to 3, and 9 minus 4 equals to 5. I want you to pause the video now, and what I want you to do is to explain this, but where we're going to borrow, I want you to draw a line through it and then add it. Oh, sorry, subtract it. Okay, let's quickly go to example number 3. Again, with example number 3, this is a method that we use so we can later do these type of things mentally. So 74,687 minus 52,143. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to break up the first number. I'm only going to break up the second number. So we got the first number here, and I'm going to break up this number. So I'm going to take the first number and minus 50,000. Then I get 24,687. I'm then going to take the 2,000 and subtract it from there. And then I get 22,687. Then I'm going to take the 100 and I'm going to subtract it from there. And then I get 22,587. Then I'm going to take the 40, and subtract it from that number, and I get 22,547. And lastly, I'm going to subtract the 3, and I get 22,544. So we've done 3 different examples with you. Again, you choose the method. I recommend do 1 or 2. The best is to do all 3, so we learn techniques. It's not to make the calculation more difficult or more complex. It just, each of them got specific techniques hidden within them. So example 1, place value and expanded notation helps us later on with decimal fractions. The column method, just subtracting, later on your calculator is going to replace this method. So it's a quick way of doing a calculation on a piece of paper. And then the third method is for us later on, we can use this method mentally, so we don't need pen and paper. So let's scroll down. So in your SATeacher workbook, you then got all the activities, all the sums that you can do, the number sentences. You can also use the ones in the DBE book. Then what we're going to do is we go down to the problem solving of today. So you can solve the problem. Remember the techniques that we're doing is we identify the numbers that we're going to do. How much money does he have left? We can see the keywords in here is subtracting. Who are my characters? My brother saved. And what is the object? It's a motorcycle. So we can use brother and motorcycle to make a drawing of this to solve it. So various techniques, and later lessons are going to explain these techniques to you. Here again, examples coming from question papers that you can do. Here's remediation on the subtraction that might help you. And then the consolidation again is you only have to click one yes, one method. But again, like I said, is 2 or 3 methods are always better because the techniques helps us later in mathematics.